All right, welcome to the second episode of Freedom Burrito, guys.
Yeah!
I'm your host, Jay Carroll.
I'm Josiah, and these two are,
Introduce yourselves, boys.
I'm Nick.
I'm Jack.
Do we need to say anything more than just our name?
Nah, I don't
I
think
feel like
so.
Nick and Jack's just fine.
Great.
I don't think
That's
they need to
me.
know your last name unless they can hunt you down on like social
You're
media.
cool.
Nick Geerling. Look me up on Instagram, please.
Wait, I didn't say you can plug it.
I need friends.
Hey,
All right, I
I need
think we're gonna
friends.
censor this part, so don't worry about that part, audience. So
Thank goodness for audio editing programs. Bless up.
bless up, boys. Every Sunday, bless up. So
Not even every Sunday, every day, bless up, buddy.
True.
Come on.
True. I'm sorry. All right. So this episode, we got our guests here. This is different, very different. But moving on,
Yes.
instead of doing the
Get a whole new
JJ,
level of podcast
Yeah,
going
exactly.
on right
it's
now.
actually
Definitely.
it's the JJJN.
Oh,
The
come on.
alliance.
So left out.
The alliance.
Triple J.
You
Plus
can
N.
just change
You guys
your
can
name.
call
Yeah.
me John for this podcast.
John.
There you go. You got the Quad J episode here.
Quadruple J.
Yeah. All right. So to start us off, we gotta know these two boys because you guys might encounter them at Tatura Youth Group.
Come on, next gen.
There you go. Next gen. There's a plug.
Lots of enthusiasm. I like it.
I'm glad you guys love your youth group a lot. So yeah, you guys might see them around, I don't know, maybe United We Stand or maybe main event.
Ooh.
Make sure you say hi to them. Make sure you say hi to us.
Oh, yes.
We're not scary. We don't bite. So
And we have a
simple.
podcast.
That's what this is.
Yeah.
So say hi.
That's the conclusion. So we'll start off with our boy Nick. Give us a little
Nico.
testimony, mate.
So, I grew up in a Christian home with my dad was a pastor, my grandparents are the senior pastors in my church, half my uncles were pastors, my aunties are all involved in worship leading, and like I was pretty into it, integrated into everything.
I think this is just a Christian flex.
Yeah,
in a
like
way.
read the
This will be
Bible.
fun.
but yeah, I was very. I grew up in and around it, like going to
Yeah.
church every week, a couple of times. So every conference and everything I'd be going to, but I didn't really get personal with it until I got to about like 12 years old, because it was kind of just. I definitely believed in God and that kind of thing, but just didn't see how it impacted me and how that would go for me. And then, in like year 6 was when kind of had some troubles going on in my family and that kind of thing. And that went on for a couple of years. And that was like the moment that it hit me when I actually needed God, because up until then I was just like cruising. I couldn't complain about anything. Everything was going great. And then when I was like in that moment, I really needed God. So instead of blaming God or turning away from him, luckily I turned to him, and I just asked for peace. And that's kind of how I know that God's real for me, is that I just got that unexplainable peace on my life, which is really great.
nice.
Do you want to tell us how you got into leadership? Like your
Leadership,
crew?
yeah.
And serving it.
Oh, and then,
If
yeah,
your
tell them
church
about
is
your
stuff.
youth group too.
Yeah. So like what I do specifically and then how I got into it kind of.
Yeah.
So a couple of years ago, my pastor, Karina, our youth pastor, she asked me to help her with games and stuff for youth. And I'd never really done anything like that before, but it sounded fun. So I was like, oh yeah, help. And then like a month later, she was like, all right, so can you just run this from now on? Like, can you just do this as your job? And I was like, yeah, sure. So I got a lot better at that, because they used to suck a lot, and now I think they're pretty good. There's a big learning curve there. But so I kind of just got thrown into it. And everything I'm doing, so at the moment I'm doing games. So I run all the challenges for youth and come up with the nights and that kind of thing. And I run a Connect group. So I've got the 8-9 boys in my Connect group. It's pretty hectic.
Tell them you better tell them what Connect Group is. In your
Okay.
context.
So it's like a small group kind of. We'll have at our youth some nights where you're just together with that group and you run your own Bible study and game and
stuff.
Yeah, it's
So-
discipleship kind of stuff.
Yeah, so we split our Connect groups. We're in like grades, so it's like grade 6, 7, then grade 7, 8, 9, sorry, and then so on.
It's still just calling me, so I'll just slide my phone under the couch.
Yeah, I
and-
didn't know Nick's
nice.
pretty popular.
I'm so popular. I just got all these
Yes.
phone calls coming in, so I just slide.
Anyway, we'll let Jack continue.
But yeah, so I'm just I'm doing all that, and the way I kind of got into it was just with the mentality of if I get asked to do something, say yes.
Yep.
Because Karina once just said to me, if you can be someone who just says yes to everything, then you just be a blessing to the youth group. So from then on, anytime Karina asked me, first time she said, do you want to go host up on stage? I just said yes. You want to do offering? Yes. You want to preach at youth? Yes. Just say yes to everything, and it's got me pretty far. So I've just been, that'd be a good piece of advice to anyone, would just be, if you're asked to do something and it scares you a little bit, just say yes. And yep.
Life advice with Nick.
Yeah, already with some advice there. Ah, nice. That's cool. So, yeah, that's Nick's testimony, which is good to hear.
Yeah, nice.
Now we need Jack's testimony.
Hi, Jack.
Yeah, so pretty much I grew up in a Christian home. My mum is a real she's really, I don't know, she's got a really strong faith in that, and my dad has got a pretty good faith as well, but I was pretty rebellious. I'm not now, but I was pretty rebellious. I hated going to church. I hated going to kids. I hated going to all of that, and so I moved over from New Zealand in 2012, I believe it was. So we're jumping a few years. I'm now 12 years old. Yep. But coming over here, I was hard against it. I didn't really want anything to do with it. I got sent to youth, but I was like, I don't want to go to youth. So I'd come home, and then 3 weeks later, I would go again, and then I'd miss another 3 weeks, and then I'd show up again. So I'd stay just on the radar enough so people knew me, but not enough that it looked like I was all in.
Yeah.
And then around 2014, I believe it was, at a youth camp, I hit this moment in a night session where God just smacked me so hard, and I was just like, boom, and I was just like all for it. My whole life was turned around, and it was all because of that one moment, like solely because of that one moment that I'm where I am.
Dang.
Yeah, and I suppose looking at where I am now and looking back on it, it's like if I had not gone to that camp, if my leader had not actually convinced me to go to that camp, I would probably still not be living for God.
Was that leader Dennis?
Sure was.
Shout out to Dennis Dunlop.
Come on,
legend.
Dennis.
Yeah, we don't know that guy.
He's a good guy.
He is.
I know
He
him. Odd one out there, Jay.
Damn.
But yeah, so he is the reason why I solely feel like he's the reason why I got to where I am, because God put it in his heart that this kid needs help.
Yeah.
Damn, that's cool, man.
And I believe that in leadership, you really need to have your heart for God, because God is the reason why people change.
Yep.
Yeah.
When God puts on your heart, that kid needs you right now. Just send him a message. Yeah. Just send him a message like, hey man, how's your week going? And that's literally all Dennis did for me, and that's what changed my outlook. That's what changed my thought process.
Yeah, it's definitely like hooking into those youth kids a lot.
Yeah.
Because that's what we're about. And that. Damn, you guys hitting with those life advices after your testimony. I feel bad. We didn't
Still
do
in
that.
preaching.
Yeah, we should. We just talked about how there was like a kid that got dumped 300 chicken hearts on him.
True. Feels bad. But
So,
yeah.
Jack, what do you do at youth / church, and like how'd you get into it?
Sure. So, so I guess coming off what I was saying about only really just getting into things, and in 2014, 2015, only just starting to actually really find my own belief and starting to really understand who God was and who he is in my life. I remember I very much like Nick, I had my mind went to, all right, an opportunity comes up, I got to say yes. Because I know I'm never going to ask for the opportunity.
Yeah.
But I know if the opportunity presented to me and I say yes, I won't back down and I'll do it. And I know if I can put myself in a position like that, God will come through. So my faith was solely in God in that. And moving forward, that is how I got into my leadership. Yeah. Just by saying yes, time and time again, I was able to step into a different place where God was able to use me and my thoughts to influence the kids.
Yeah.
So the stuff that I had been through was going to then help them.
Yeah.
And going into that, I was I'm not a fan of titles. I hate having the title of like leader. I don't like the title of if I was to get a pastor and all that kind of stuff. But so when I was asked to become a youth leader, I was like, oh, yeah, I'll think about it.
Yeah.
I remember just standing there, and Karina asked me, and I was like, yeah, I'll get back to you on that one. And I went away, and I was like, all right, I need to say yes to this.
Yeah.
I feel like God's calling me to that. So I said yes. And then I continued to say yes to the opportunities Karina gave me. And now I'm leading a connect group at youth. I've preached at youth. I've done all these different things because of what God done in my life and where the people he placed in my life and the leadership that he's allowed me to step into.
That's cool.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, now we gotta move on to our main topic of this whole podcast.
Which we've touched on a little bit.
Yeah, they've already touched onto it straight away.
We're on to these things, man.
You
Come
guys
on.
are right on
Read it
to it.
all. We got it ready.
Looks like they might start their own podcast at this rate. We're gonna have some competition.
Got some rivals now.
Yeah, it's on, boys.
It'll be next gen burrito.
Yeah. All right. So what's that? What topic are we touching on?
So as we've been talking about, we're talking about leadership is our whole topic for this this episode. Cool. Yeah. So I reckon. So we've kind of touched on how to get into it. Just say yes. Just like take it as many opportunities as you can.
Yeah.
Be pretty much to get into it. You just got to be willing to have your heart open to let God just take over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let him take control.
Yeah.
Don't force your way into it. Don't feel like you have to control when you're serving. Don't feel like you have to be the one that knows every single little detail.
Yeah,
Because it doesn't work. But when you let God do it, that's when you can really serve out of your heart.
Yeah, it's definitely like that servant heart
And
that everyone has.
Yeah. On top of that is like we often get like youth kids will say something like, "How do I become a leader? Can I
Yeah.
become a leader?"
Yeah,
kind of thing.
That's a big thing.
So the answer, which we always give, is you be the leader and then you get recognized as one. And that's just how the process works at our youth is once you start exhibiting those qualities of like you've got that influence and you start using it to lead people to God. And that's when, someone will come have a conversation with you and say, hey, can we recognize you, get you on the team, that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's definitely those leadership qualities that youth leaders look for in their kids. So it's like when you're in a praise pit, you're looking for that person. The leader's got to stand out from the
true.
kids.
Yeah. You need to walk into the room and go, that guy
Yeah.
is the
Yeah,
leader.
you want to be able to point out the leader from the praise pit.
Yeah. We also say try and be fat, which is an acronym. I'm not just like... but it's like...
Here at Freedom Burrito,
It's,
we do not condone obesity.
They may be called Freedom Burrito, but
It's faithful, available, and teachable.
Yep.
So it's like you can be relied
Absolutely.
on. Faithful. What was it? A again?
Available.
Available. So you need to have time to spend at youth and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And teachable. If you can't get pulled up on things and work on things, then there's nowhere to go.
absolutely.
But if you can be
Yeah.
a teachable person, there's no limit to how good a leader you can be.
Yeah, that's nice.
It's actually really good. I like that one.
So yeah, with leadership, we all generally go through these episodes, like challenges we get from our kids and that. So would you be able to tell, those people that want to be a leader, or if they maybe new to being leadership, what challenges they can expect?
Yeah.
And any
Leadership.
conflict management.
Like anything you guys been
Tips
through
or
also
anything?
in that.
Do you want to start?
Well, I'll start off with the tip. Pretty big tip. Spend your own time with God.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
of course, yes.
Leading youth is challenging. You get they have their own set of problems, own set of difficulties being teenagers, and you've probably been through it yourself, and you understand what kind of things happen and what the mind goes through.
Yep.
And I guess you just got to remember as a leader to always make sure you make time for yourself to be with God.
Yep.
Make sure you make time to read your Bible. Make sure you have time to pray and just invest in yourself so that you can lead out of that overflow.
Yes.
Yeah, because it's I've found before that it is super hard to lead when you're empty.
Yeah.
When you have not spent any time whatsoever, and a youth kid comes up and he asks you a question, and you're just like,
Can you shut up?
I just don't know. It's like, yeah.
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 Classic answer. Pray about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
That would be my advice. So every situation is different. Every challenge is different. Every kid, every youth is different.
Yep, that's for sure.
You can answer every question differently depending on your relationship with them, depending on your how far back you go with them.
Yeah.
And I just believe that if you can make sure to spend your own time with God, that you can make sure to get that stuff down, then that will help you a lot. God, in those moments, he'll come and he'll just be like,
Yeah.
drop you a download
Yep.
in that moment and let you know what to say.
Yeah, because I think the big issue with youth leaders, like people have that risk of burning out when they lead.
Absolutely.
It's like a scary thing to think about when you're deep in leadership, because it's definitely a threat for us,
100%.
and that can come from anything. Like that could be us just drained at leading, serving. I don't know. There's heaps of issues that lead to it.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Well, yeah, I can speak into that area a bit. Just leading from, because you still, as a leader, you're still living your own life.
yeah,
And you can come into a youth night and have had a really crap week. You know what I mean? And like last week at youth,
Yeah.
I just had a crap week. I just wasn't ready. I was like, there was a couple of things that had just been stacking up. And I was tired and I was sick as well. I'm kind of coming out of it a bit, but
yeah,
I was sick and just had it was just not a good week. And I got to youth and I took a moment, and I feel like a couple of years ago, I might not have considered it. I would have just gone in and probably not been able to lead as effectively.
Yeah.
But in the prayer meeting, I was like, I decided that I was going to specifically pray about leaving the week behind, focusing on this, getting filled up with God, and just, being focused on your job and your role. And I feel like that without God, supporting would be impossible. So 100%, if you've had a terrible week and then you're about to go serve at youth, or you're just really tired or something, don't just skim over it. Definitely something to address in prayer immediately.
Yep.
and probably something you don't want to spread to your youth kids.
No,
Yeah,
no.
exactly.
because that's just a risk.
Yeah.
And I think it's very much bringing that positive emotion,
Yeah,
that physical presence of being positive for creating an environment and atmosphere where they can come and they know that this is a place where they can just they can have fun. They don't have to worry about so many things that happen in their week and the
definitely.
craziness of their lives, which so many of them have. But they can come here and know that this is just a place where they can just relax, have some fun. Learn some more about God, get into a relationship. So it's like
And be loved.
and be loved. Absolutely,
That's the
absolutely
thing,
be
yes.
loved. And I remember seeing this illustration once, and they had this jar kind of thing, and it was full with water. But as he used ping pong balls as the example,
I like this one.
and and each ping pong ball represented a part of your life. So let's say it was sport, then it was youth in there, then there was work, then there was, if you're still at school, it was school, and each time a ping pong ball went in, the water went up and went out. So the more stuff you have in your life, the less room you're going to have for the water. So what the example is kind of saying is we got to make sure that we are making that space for God in our lives.
Yeah, definitely.
To create that positive emotion, that positive effect on the atmosphere, so that when we walk in, we're actually bringing the light with us.
yes,
Yeah.
that's right. Yeah, because you definitely want the atmosphere is important in youth groups.
Yeah,
I
definitely.
find. Like if you get leaders with negative attitudes, that's going to affect all your youth kids.
It's
You're going to have a
just
drain night,
Yep.
and that's not what we're about generally.
Yeah, exactly.
Like we got United We Stand coming up soon. That's a plug there.
Big plug.
Come to United We Stand. It's going to be awesome.
gonna be
August
big.
Mom.
16th,
Look, I don't know.
I believe so.
I believe that's right. Yeah.
It's soon. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll just say August anyway.
And it's
Sometime August.
Encounter Youth.
Encounter
Yep.
Church.
Encounter Church. Yep.
Shepparton.
All the youth groups in the area.
Yeah, it's like
Mom.
a big night for everyone to get united, like all these different youth groups.
It's
and
really good.
It's
we're gonna have all our youth leaders also, and we don't want to like separate our youth groups like in these events.
It's time to come together.
about unity.
Yep.
That's a big thing.
Cool, because we're all in one race, so we might as well
One
help each
big
other
house.
get through the race.
Yeah, get through a race. Yep. So
Yep.
back to leadership.
Mhm.
What was I thinking? I had
And-
something in my mind.
Well, I guess on leadership, especially in as a youth leader and being in a team. As a youth leader, you're not the only one.
Yeah.
You're in a
that's for sure.
team. You're with however big your youth group is, depends on how many leaders you may have. But either way, you're in a team. It means you got to be going for the same goal.
Yeah.
You got to be
Yeah.
working together. You got to make sure that you have each other's back. So maybe it comes to a situation where one of your leaders is struggling with something during the week. Maybe just get around that leader. As a team, pray for each other. Actually, invest into each other so that you know that when it comes to Friday, you guys are going to be strong as a team, strong as a unit, and you'll go into that night knowing that you guys can make an impact together because you're all working for the same goal,
Yeah,
and that
that's
is to
right.
see these kids saved.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good way to sum it up. Nice.
Yes.
Yeah.
So with leadership and as a team, what is your thoughts or insights on? What's it called? Delegation.
Yep.
Oh yeah. That's
Yeah,
good.
is that the word? I believe so.
Delegate.
Delegation.
What's your thoughts?
I used to be pretty sucky at delegation. I was definitely a micromanaging type, especially with games, which is what I was running,
Yeah.
and doing challenges and stuff at youth. I would 100% micromanage everything. So it was kind of a struggle to build a team, and I didn't know why. And obviously, it would stress me out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Having to be on every single part of every single thing I'm doing. When I'm leading a team, I'm like trying to follow them around, make sure they're doing the right thing, and that's just not helpful to anyone. You have to be able to trust. Karina had to talk to me about it, and I saw Dave Edgar. I was at there was an event at Pastor Dave Edgar's church, Faith Church. I can't remember what the event
Encounter?
was. I think it might have been Encounter Conference.
Yeah.
And I was helping out with the game, and I just watched him delegate to his leaders what to do to create it, and I was like, whoa, this guy, he knows what he's doing, right? I was really impressed. And after that, and then Karina talked to me, and I've gotten a lot better at it, and it's like been a lot easier on me. And when you can do it properly, you can just be able to have people you can rely on to do things. It's not just good for you, but whatever you're doing, for me it was games, it's at a whole nother level of
Yeah.
quality, because it's when you're micromanaging people, you're actually holding them back. You're not letting them do what they can. And if they need to be micromanaged, then you need to be training them more. They're not ready to be
Yeah.
doing what they're doing. So, I've gotten to a place right now where I think I'm pretty good at it. I'm working on it. But yeah, it's something that is to be practiced. And yeah, good to take a look at what you're doing and see, because you don't want to be giving away all your responsibilities to other people, because that's not delegation. That's just you being lazy and getting other people to do your work. But if you can get other people to help you with what you're doing, then that'll make whatever you're doing better. It'll make you feel less stressed and be able to do your parts of it even better. And it'll bless them as well, because when you're giving people the opportunity to serve, that blesses their lives.
Yeah.
It definitely helps with like as a management for not burning out.
Yeah.
'Cause,
Definitely.
Yeah, and I think if you can learn to delegate, it's like you're also you're letting them take some responsibility and actually learn under you, as
Yeah.
well as you're letting yourself have more space to be able to invest in other areas.
Yeah.
Other areas that may be more important. There are other areas that are more important than certain things. So delegating some responsibilities is good because it allows you to spend more time on that other thing.
Yeah, of course.
So, for example, it might be during the week where Nick might be, for example, Nick does games. So when Nick might be preaching that week at youth or something like that, he might decide to delegate that whole week to one of the other leaders to run the games for him. So that means he does not have to worry about it, but he can focus on his preaching, because that's really going to impact the kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially to that person, when you've got an area that you're running. So say I'm doing games, and just so your main area at youth would be like sound,
media,
and tech, and
media,
media kind of stuff. So when you've got your area, you need like a person who you're training up, because
Yeah,
you're
of
not going to be
course.
around forever. And you might not be around tomorrow. Know what I mean? Anything can happen that will need to move you out of where you are. So you always need to have somebody that you're training up to take over eventually. And they might not know that, but you're working on that and being intentional about it. So I've got someone who I'm training up at the moment to eventually take over challenges and games for when I leave. So if I was to say I was away for a night or I was preaching a night and needed to just focus on that,
Yep.
I would explain it to them and help them in preparation and then let them run it. Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
I have a very recent example. Well, it's coming, but I'm actually going away for 8 weeks. So I'm going to miss 8 weeks of youth.
Damn.
Yeah.
And so I do administration. I love my administration.
Damn.
Come on.
And I hate it.
Yeah, I think Jack's the only person I heard say he loves admin
Yeah,
stuff.
like-
There's actually a couple
What's
of
wrong
people
with
that
admin's
Really?
good? Admin's good.
it
nice.
sucks my soul away.
Hey, see, that's why you have people like me.
yeah, that's why you have
Right?
people say.
But so I'm going away for 8 weeks. So the thought is like, who's going to be able to do that?
Not me.
Is the youth? No, let's hope not. No. Is the youth going to be able to run if I'm not there to do it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's like the question you need to ask you. If I was to leave today, is the youth going to be able to still run?
You want to be needed but not essential.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a good way to say it.
That's good.
I think with leaderships, especially around our countryside, we're all pretty young still. Like,
Yeah.
you're still in school, I'm still in school, Nick's still in
School.
school, Jack's out of school.
Jack's out of school.
But he was at
Big
school
boy.
at one stage when he was the leader, I'm guessing.
Yep.
You were a leader at school?
Yep. Right. So a lot of our country people, they tend to be in school and that. And
It's true.
I guess they'd really want to know how to manage and balance their lives out.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Because that's pretty important to have a certain balance where schools,
Yeah.
because school's important. We need to get
Kind
a
of
good.
fits in with the delegation thing.
Yeah. But yeah,
But in your own life.
how do you balance
than
youth leading in
definitely.
school? That's where we're going to go. And Jack can talk about like when he was at school and leading.
Okay. Yeah. Again, I used to struggle with this as well. But now I think I've gotten it under control, and it's just one thing is put God first. And and this is a biblical concept. If you put God first, everything else just falls into place. So if you can prioritize time for God, everything else will work out, and you'll have time for it. Because when I didn't, those are the times when I would stress out and run out of time for things and not get stuff done. And it's noticeable even now. If I spend a week and I don't take time out of my day at home to spend with God, I'll 100% notice it at the end of the week, because I'll be like, where did all my time go? I didn't get this done. I was stressed out about this. Oh, wait, yeah, okay. Kind of makes sense because I didn't give any time to God. So when you do that, everything else can just fall into place, and it's really helpful. And it also just keeps you calm and at peace, and just more, that helps you to be more effective in everything that you're doing. Yeah.
I think as well, you got to ask yourself the question: how much can I invest into this?
Yeah.
How much am I actually invested into this youth? How much am I going to be able to take out of my time to be able to really take the time to pray for the kids, to really invest into them?
Yeah.
And that's like what Nick was saying. You got to put God at the top. You got to put God at the top, and you really, in those times, you got to figure out, all right, how much can I really invest into this youth?
Yeah.
Am I going to be able to do this? Am I going to be able to do that? Especially if you're leading a small group or a connect group, if you can make that extra time in your God time to pray and to make sure you spend the time to figure out what you're going to talk about, then that's when you can really impact them.
Definitely.
And I think with organizing your week and with balancing out school and work, if you're working as well, because I know I worked after school as well, it can make it difficult because you go to school, you go to work afterwards, and then if you do a sport, you have training as well, and it all just stacks up. But if you can make sure that youth is a priority, especially as a leader, if you make sure it's a priority, then you can really make sure that your time is spent on that.
Yeah.
So for me, when I first started, I'm working IGA, and when I first started, I said I cannot work Fridays or Sundays. Fridays for youth, Sundays for church.
Yeah, that's important.
I cannot work those days. At these times, I cannot do it. And they listened, and so I'm not working those days. But it's something you just got to figure out how you can manage it exactly, because every person's time slots are going to be different. So let's say you have sport on a Monday afternoon. You have you might go into church on the Tuesday to do something. Then you have work on the Wednesday. Then you have something else and something else. Maybe the thing you need to think about is, how can I make more time?
Mm.
Can I go to bed slightly earlier and get up earlier and spend time with God at the start of the day?
Yep.
Yep.
Because if you spend time at the start of the day, then the rest of your day is going to be good.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
of course.
So it's like one of the how can I create more time? If you do not have time, how can you create more time to then spend time with God?
Sweet. We'll go for a very positive note with, as a leader, what iconic moments have you got from youth? Like something that stood out a lot to you as being a leader.
Very memorable
Yeah.
things.
I remember last week I think it was actually. I've only been a Connect leader for this year.
Oh, really?
Same.
Come on, newbies. And I remember we had a meeting night, so it means that we had preaching and we had a lot of praise and worship and that kind of stuff. And I remember in the worship, I remember standing there. I was on the other side of the room. My boys were far side, making a bit of the noise and whatnot. But I remember in the worship, I was standing there and I looked over and I just saw one of my boys slowly walk up to the front. He slowly walked up, and once he got there, he just raised his hands a little, and I was just like, come on.
Yeah,
That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
Come on. Having those God encounters, come on.
Yeah, that's good.
Just seeing him have the courage to actually get up there and just raise his hands, it's like,
Yeah,
it's a big step. That was a really, really powerful moment for me to see, to know that I am actually having effect on them. Like,
Yeah.
that they're actually getting closer to God. Like,
Yeah.
it's what we're there for. We're there
Exactly.
to make sure they know that they're loved, that there is a God who actually has a purpose for them.
Yeah, definitely.
That was one of my favorite moments so far.
That's so cool.
Always gives me a smile.
For me, I think there was one night at youth where Karina just wanted to take time out of the night, out of the meeting, and she said, we're going to get into our Connect groups, and there was worship music playing, and we're going to pray for each other. I was like, cool. So my job now is to keep them from yelling. Great. Like, I keep quiet. So I moved over to my group. They all came together, and just out of nowhere, one of them just started praying for each other. And I was like, what? And then they all just started going. I wasn't leading anything. I was just standing there and just, and then the next one would pipe in, and the next one, and I was like, who are these kids?
Yeah.
Why is none of you throwing chairs? Like, what is going on?
Yeah.
And I love that. That was really awesome.
That's awesome.
So, yeah, that was a really good moment.
We're pretty crazy over in Next Gen.
I don't know. Our youth group's pretty crazy.
Bit
as it
rowdy.
is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Each youth group gets rowdy.
Yeah.
It's not a youth group without rowdiness.
Mm-hmm.
Is that even a word? I don't know.
Yep,
Rowdiness.
it's a word.
It's actually a word. Nice.
Here's Nick with his big vocabulary.
I use baby words.
Yeah, right. So that's that. I think for new people, you want to give them words of inspiration, pretty much.
Words.
Yeah. What
Inspiration and
So
advice.
let's say the kid's wanting to lead and they don't know how to, or like they're trying to find inspiration to lead. What would you say to them? Like, what would you say to anyone out there that's listening to inspire them to become a leader,
Okay.
if they're called to that? Of
Other
course.
than the whole yes thing. Cause
Yeah.
Sure.
cover that.
But I guess really press into, it's very, very cliche answer, but just press into God and just ask him, where do you want me to serve?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, he's the one that knows everything. Like, where do you want me to serve? What do you want me to do? What's the next step you want me to take? And if you're looking to be a leader and you're at the place where you're in a relationship with God, where you understand how much he loves you and you understand all that, although there's so much more to learn, but you already understand that, you go to him and you just go, all right, God, what's the next step I need to take? What's the next leap of faith I need to take? It may not be the step I think, but I know it's the right step because you've said it.
Yeah.
So, for example, I don't like public speaking at all.
Yeah.
I'm super afraid when I do public speaking. I speak in front of
Relatable.
people. But I've learned to have faith in God and to know that is where He's taking me. To take that step and just go, all right, God, that's where you're calling me. I will go there and serve. So, for example, it's like in kids. I even don't like hosting and playing games in kids, but they love me. I'm just like, I'm not very good at it. But, well, that's what I think. But to them, it means so much.
Yeah.
So it's also the idea of, all right, how can I affect these kids? How can I affect the youth? And then going off that, it's how can I help the person above me?
Yeah.
So your youth pastor above you, the person above you, how can I best learn off them?
Yeah.
What can I take off them to learn myself? So for me, learning off Karina, I've taken off some of her administration so I can do that. So I can learn by then also freeing her up to invest more into youth, invest more into the region. And I think for you to become a leader, you really just gotta go, all right, God, I want to have this servant heart in me. I want to serve you, and I want to see these kids saved. I want to see them impacted by me. So God, what steps do you want me to take?
Yeah, it's definitely worth it in the long run too.
Yeah.
That's what I find. Yeah, so pretty much get involved. That's a big thing. Get
Yeah.
involved.
And there's nothing at all wrong with asking God for passion.
Yeah.
Like if you are, if you're not passionate, it's not like a shameful thing to pray and be like, set my heart on fire, God. You know, stir me up, make me break my heart for the things that break yours, all those kinds of things where you're just like, if you're not there yet, there's nothing wrong with asking God to bring you to that point where you're passionate and you're ready to go. And if you're not reading the Bible, you're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
Like that's where it all comes from. So you can, if your only interaction with the Bible is like what people are preaching and you're just hearing like a couple of verses a week from their preaching, then that's just like you're living off their faith. So even though it can be a struggle, it's a great habit to build because that's where you're just going to be reaching out and hearing from God the most.
For sure.
And don't be afraid to fail.
Yeah.
We say at our church, I don't know about you guys, but we say fail forward. So if you fail, learn from that and then do better the next time.
Yeah.
Learn from your mistakes.
learn from
Like
mistakes.
if you mess up on stage, who cares?
Exactly. Yeah.
You can learn from that. You can see what you did wrong.
Yeah.
You can take that on and be like, all right, I can do that next time. I can do that better next time. So don't be afraid to fail. Step out. Give it a go.
Yeah.
When you lead a connect group, like my first time leading connect group, it went completely the wrong way than what I was expecting. But I learned from that, and I learned how my boys actually reacted to things. So I failed forward.
Yeah.
So I was able to adjust the way I talked to them, adjust the way I structured my connect, so that it worked best for them.
Yeah.
So I fail forward.
Yes. That's actually cool. Nice. So yeah.
I've got something to add. Question. So for people who are wanting to get into leadership and stuff, do you have any resources that you like recommend that you've used before, like books or other podcasts or websites, YouTube videos, whatnot?
John C. Maxwell is always a good one.
He's pretty good.
He has a
Got a
fair
lot of
few books.
Yeah. If you're into reading,
Yep.
get on
There's
that.
a fair few good ones in there. There's one that I've been doing recently with the office team, and it was called Craig Rochelle.
Oh,
Craig Rochelle's
Craig's
leadership podcast.
pretty good.
Have you guys
Yeah.
heard that one?
Yeah, we have.
Probably
We
do.
watched
Yeah.
it as a leadership team that one time, remember?
Yeah, well, that one's a good one as well. There's a lot of good things on there, and you can even submit your own questions if you have questions about what he's talking about.
His books are good too.
His books are good.
Yeah.
I've not read his books, but his books are good as well.
Right.
So
What's that?
Get
What's
onto
that
it.
book that we always if someone's to preach, we give them that book.
Communicating for Change.
Okay, if you want to learn how to preach, read the book Communicating for Change, and that will teach you. Well, not all you need to know, because there's always things you. Oh no, okay, it'll teach you all you need to know about preaching, but not all you can know. But if you want to learn how to preach and you're starting from nowhere or you're already doing it, 100%. You got to read. Or you,
Yep.
what's it called again? I forgot.
Communicating for change.
Communicating for Change by some guy.
Communicating for change by. No, I don't know.
I don't know.
Just
But
Google.
look up Communicating for Change
Yeah.
and get that book, and it will, it's the best for teaching you how to preach and just learning how to find your own preaching style and structuring it and that kind of thing. Go to that. And just for, if you're a person who just really struggles to read, which is a lot, so that's fine.
It's me.
Podcasts are great because there's so many out there, like this one. And even just like most churches these days have a podcast, and it's just, they just record the service and you can listen to a preacher speak on something.
Yep.
So if you just look up like leadership sermon on podcasting or whatever,
Living
you
Waters
can just go
Church,
straight onto
Kyabram,
that.
you know.
Yep. Generations Church, we've all got them. Like, you just go on there. They're really great. And websites like youthmin.com,
Oh, yeah.
fantastic website for
That's a great website.
anything youth ministry. So you can go on there if you want.
Another good book that I've started reading is The Way of the Shepherd.
Okay.
That is a very good leadership book. It's like, even for people that have struggled to read like books, it's quite short and it's also an easy read, but it's got a lot of good substance.
It's got a lot of oomph behind
Got
it.
a bit of a kick.
Yeah.
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 Damn. I think the biggest resource that you get in your church is your pastors and your elders. Like, definitely consult them, especially your elders, because they've been around longer than you, obviously. So,
It's true.
you know, they're a great resource. They got wisdom to spread, knowledge to spread, and then definitely consult your youth pastor. They're there for you, and that definitely a big resource. And then your senior pastor, of course, talk to them. Feel free to. They're great.
And your Bible.
And your
Of course, your Bible.
Consult
There's
the
a
Bible.
lot of people in the Bible who have great leadership skills.
Yeah.
They,
And there's even books about them, about their leadership. Like,
Yeah.
If you, something that we did as a team a while ago was we read through the story of Moses, and every chapter we'd stop and then we'd try and point out leadership qualities in everything that he was doing.
Yep.
And if you're intentionally doing that, you pick up a lot out of it. So if you want to learn about leadership, read, like, for example, story of Moses, read his story, and every chapter stop and try and like write down 5 things about him leading or qualities of his leadership.
Yeah.
that's cool.
Because he did lead 5 million people
Out of
a
Egypt.
country, out of Egypt, across to another country. There's some leadership going on there.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I think that's most of our questions.
I think we're good.
Yeah, we might wrap this up.
Thanks
So,
for having us.
You're welcome.
thanks for
man.
coming to us.
Yeah.
We'll take this time to plug some social media. I
We'll
reckon.
plug some stuff.
You guys, we'll allow you guys to plug in next gen stuff.
Yeah.
come on,
Have a
Next
go.
Gen Youth.
Look up Next Gen Youth on Instagram.
How do you?
XTGEN Youth. That's it, right?
Yep, that's it.
It's like Next Gen. You look that up and you'll find us on Instagram. And at Church Generations Church. You can look that up on Instagram as well.
Yep.
And Nick Geerling on Instagram. Jack? It's Jack Popplestone.
Yeah. It's not too fancy.
Jack
Look,
Popplestone. Everybody follow Jack
Yeah.
on Instagram.
Follow him.
Everyone.
I'm not up with the old
I don't think
technology
I'm
these
following
days, to be
Jack.
honest.
Not gonna lie, I don't think I'm following Jack on Instagram.
Whoa,
Okay.
buddy.
All right, Jay's going to look him up.
I'm not offended.
Sorry, I got on Facebook. That's right.
Yeah.
Our
stuff.
Yeah, we'll plug
At
that.
Freedom Youth Kai on Facebook and Instagram.
That's right. About those 2 social medias.
At freedommemes.exe for our meme page.
Juicy
for the-
content.
Spicy,
I'm following Freedom Memes.
good. Are you Jack?
Jack doesn't know it exists.
No comment.
Thank you for that way.
Is that all?
We got
Also-
YouTube.
No, you had something else
Oh,
on the run sheet thing. Did you
Yeah.
select some of it?
YouTube.
Didn't you have an event?
YouTube
you were
channel.
gonna
Subscribe. Also, yes, Brave Conference is coming up soon.
See, I'm
So,
right off of it.
yeah. Brave
We're
Conference is
getting
coming
there.
up soon.
Sign up.
Sign up. It's going to be awesome. Pastor Dave Doolan's going to be there.
He's a legend.
Come on.
He is. He accepted my friend request on Facebook without even knowing who I was.
He's a legend.
Come on.
Yeah, what a great dude. Only $35. It's going to be until August 16th, and then it goes up to 50. So you better get the discounted price, otherwise
Jay will be there. Sarah will be there. I'll be there.
Jack will be there.
Might be there.
You better be there,
will
Jack.
be on his big
Oh,
trip.
you'll be
I'll
on
be
the
like
trip.
I'll be like thousands of kilometers away.
We'll Skype you. We'll Skype
just
you in the
FaceTime
mosh pit.
Jack.
We'll
I'll be
just-
Skyped in.
Jack will be at Uluru. Just
We'll FaceTime him during the event, so make sure you get down to Brave Conference.
so you can meet Jack.
Yeah, that's
over
all
the
you want
phone.
to come for. No, of course not. There's a lot of reasons for Brave. It's going to be intense.
It's
I
gonna be
mean,
awesome.
you would want it. My middle name's Solomon, so you know, pretty wise.
Solomon.
You want to meet me?
Solomon.
That's right.
Your name's Solomon.
Oh yeah.
Oh nice.
Why didn't you say this in your introduction?
Why'd you not think I'm
How
so
many
wise?
wives are you having to? Are you intending to have?
I'm wiser than Solomon.
Yeah. Okay.
Wow, I did not know that. That's a crazy.
Damn, that's intense.
Whoa, we're learning things.
Yeah.
We forgot to plug one more thing. Where can these guys listen
Next
to
gen
this?
youth.
We already plugged you guys.
Yeah, come on. we could. Where can we listen to the podcast?
Yeah, where can they access
Spotify.
This is on Spotify.
Yeah, it's on Spotify.
What the heck?
Yeah.
Going.
I think iTunes now.
Are we on iTunes
I think we're on iTunes now
we're
as well.
getting there.
And
we're building
Big
up.
time.
The YouTubes, which you're probably watching this on, because
We advertise that a lot. The YouTube
yes,
one.
YouTube.
Just so you can see our lovely faces.
Hmm.
Even these boys too.
Yeah. Ooh, that's a bit
Keep going.
cheeky there, Nick. Yeah, so subscribe. We're gonna upload as much as we can.
Great.
We're gonna upload youth news, which we show every week at youth,
Yeah.
but and we're gonna upload some other stuff maybe in the future. So get subscribed. So yeah, so that's the end of the podcast. To end off, I would like to say a few words. A candle is like our life. Thank you. Bye.
Okay.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Wow, what a way to end.
All done?
It was like a line.
No, you don't-